Hello, this is our scenario presentation by Matt Cinker and Miles Miller. I'm Matt Cinker and you'll see Miles later on. So what was our original idea of our scenario? We first were going to build a city, but we weren't just going to build a regular city. We were going to base it around water and build the roads. Instead of having those, we were going to have small canals that you had boats to go down. And we wanted to make it a whole new city. And then our new scenario is we are focusing on the powering of the city through that water. And so we're still keeping the idea of water-powered city, but we're focusing less on the overall city and more on the energy in the city. We wanted to calculate how much our city would need, how much electricity it would need, and where all that electricity goes. And then and then Miles designed a model to generate power from the canals. This was our process, like starting with that original 3D model that we were going to build of that water city, but then we changed over to the focusing on the hydroelectricity in our city, and we sketched what the city looks like, and then Miles designed the model of what the wheel and generator will look like for the canals, and I found where all the electricity goes in the city and what buildings use it. This is the location of our dam. If you look at the red, that's where the dam would be, and throughout the whole area that is circled would be the little canals. With the 70 kilometers, we'd have the little canals and all the rest of the city. And then location of our city is in Louisiana and Vermilion. If you can see that dot, that is where our city would be. And then here are just some of the main areas of our city, the main locations, stadium, school, just regular things. We'll get more into that on the next slide here. So these are the different types of buildings and lights that use the energy, and this is the main users. This is not everything, but it is the main and what we focused on. So you can see there's a lot of houses, making sure that we have a high population in the city. The streetlights are mostly in the park that we have. We have a big park in the middle that we designed, and we have a low amount of college and stadium because we didn't want to have a too big of city, because most cities with more than one stadium or campus usually is known as a bigger city, and we wanted to keep it on a smaller scale. And there's a lot of doctors and dental offices because we want to focus on healthcare and make sure our citizens are safe with the water. And then you'll see here what all those use energy-wise, calculating how much area they take up and how much they use each day. We were able to find out monthly for all of them except for the stadium. The stadium is for a year, and then the total here we have 126,759,723, and you can see there that most of that is from the kilowatts in the homes. So homes use up most of it, but everything else definitely contributes, including buildings that are financial and business, which those are definitely high contributors because of how big they are, like skyscrapers. And you can pause the video here if you'd like to look at those numbers farther. And now I'll give it to Miles here to explain the models.
So this is the first model that we started designing and experimenting with the one main wheel right here and the little generator that would sit back here. We focused on custom building, and this would be a custom built generator with copper wire spools in the little cracks of the wheels, and then electromagnets inside of these little plates up here. The main problem with this generator is that as you can see, it definitely wouldn't be efficient enough, and we only have the one wheel on here, which is the biggest, which needs the most power, and it makes sense to have more wheels, and it doesn't really have very good control over where the water pushes it. And so if we move on to our next model, as you can see, there would be two generators on either side of the canal walls, with these little offset planes being the canal walls right here. And right here would be the spacing between them, which is not to scale, but it's just to give some perspective to show that they would be far apart. And then, as you can see, it would have the generators on either side sitting inside the wall, because we wouldn't want them to be touched by any of the water in the canals, because that would be that would be terrible for the generators. And then, as you can see, we have 4 little hydroelectric wheels right here that would take in the water and actually be pushed by the water, and they're facing separate ways so that they can both get even currents and generation from them. So 5 things that we could have done if this outbreak didn't happen and we weren't all stuck at home for the remainder of the school year. We would have made a tangible model and calculated how much power it could generate, most likely based off of model 2 right here. We would have calculated the average price per unit of the mini hydroelectric generators. We would have taken the average power of a dam and subtracted that from what we needed for the city, just to give us some perspective on what we could, how much power would need to be generated by the mini generation capsules. And then we would need to figure out the number of generation capsules that we would need to sustain the city. And finally, we would calculate the price of all the generator capsules combined with the price of the dam to see what the entire thing would all cost. Thank you for watching this presentation. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them wherever you do that. I hope you are staying safe, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.